Let's talk about reversals in the tarot. In this video, I'm going to explain why I use reversals in my practice, why I don't really trust tarot readers who don't, and because I suspect that there might be some of you who are here for this reason, I'll also give some things to consider if you're wondering whether or not you should include reversals in your practice, and also some insights on how I read reversals. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Sydney, I'm the tarot guy next door, and on top of my weekly readings, I'm looking forward to doing more rants like these. So before we jump into the meat and potatoes, I just want to put some clarifiers as to what I mean, specifically when I say that I only trust tarot readers who use reversals. It's not so much that I don't trust the reader, it's that I don't trust the reading. Because when you think about it, the tarot has a pretty strong positive bias. And to illustrate my point, what I did is I went through my deck and I just pulled out some cards that we're generally not happy to see in a reading. Some of them are a bit borderline, but I don't think that you'll find many cards in this spread that people wouldn't expect to see when we're talking about scary cards or negative cards. And I doubt there are many cards that people were thinking of that weren't in that spread. And if you put these stacks side by side, we see that the scary cards and the encouraging cards, there's kind of a mismatch here. And what I'm saying isn't exactly a secret in the tarot, and I know that there are a lot of readers who trust themselves to reveal which cards have the warning aspect more to the front, because every tarot card has a message and a warning, or at least that's something I like to say. It's something you'll probably hear a lot in tarot circles. And speaking of trust, due to the positive bias that I demonstrated earlier, when I meet a tarot reader that doesn't use reversals, it takes time for me to build that trust in the reader that they will be able to give the warnings that are inherent in the cards when they're there, you know? To be clear, some of my favorite tarot readers don't use reversals. It's not that I'll disqualify you out hand, it's that I know deep down, unless I really trust you, that if you give me a tarot reading and you don't use reversals, it'll be a reading with rose-colored glasses. So to circle back on trusting your intuition and the warning that's inherent in every card, it's just a question of whether or not it's at the front or at the rear, you know? When I started tarot, and actually for most of my tarot career, when I didn't use reversals, this is a thing I added probably, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. And before that, whenever I would give a tarot reading, I would kind of give two readings, because I would lay out the cards with the question and all that shit, and when I would scan the spread to see what the meaning was, I'd scan it again basically, and I would ask myself, are there any of these cards that are in shadow or that are corrupt, and how would that influence the reading that I just gave if each card or whatever was in shadow? Sometimes that warning needs to be teased out, you know? And before I move on from this point, I just want to say that as far as trusting yourself to deliver the warning that's inherent in a card when it's needed, another reason why I'm skeptical when I hear that is because people in general don't like giving bad news, and the tarot doesn't always have good news. Sometimes the tarot is trying to warn you of a danger, and if you miss out on warning the person of the danger, you're missing out on giving the benefit of doing tarot readings in the first place, you know? I'm planning on doing a video on giving bad news in the tarot, by the way. I think that I've learned some things that could be useful for others. And I think the best case to illustrate this are aces in general, because aces are opportunities, they're newness, they're potential, right? But the warning that's inherent in an ace is that it's just the beginning and that you need to actually do shit to capitalize on these opportunities. Using reversals can be the difference between, yes, you have a love offering coming in, yes, queen, and girl, you need to put yourself out there more. So if all your aces are upright, I'm skeptical of your ability to give the warning that you need to take action. And again, some of my favorite tarot readers will do this without using reversals. It's fine. So anyway, I was always curious about trying reversals to save myself the time of having to like read every reading twice to ask myself if there was a warning there. And my first attempt failed. I went through the deck and turned all the cards upright immediately. But then I ended up finding this overly complicated way to shuffle where there's like just the right proportion, likely, because you can't control the outcome. You're shuffling a deck, right? The way I shuffle now increases the odds that the percentage of cards in my deck that are reversed is somewhere in the sweet spot of where I like it to be, which which is in the 30 to 40%. And I gotta say, I really love having the shadow aspects of the cards pointed out to me by the fact that they come out reversed. Now, of course, managing the querent is a factor here because they can see when the cards are upright or reversed, you know? There's a big difference between the visceral reaction that you get when you see the lovers versus seeing the lovers reversed. And that's just something you gotta keep in mind. The client can see the cards too, you know? But yeah, just as a time-saving device and also as a way to force myself to take off the rose-colored glasses that I demonstrated at the top, I don't see myself going back to reading without reversals. So as far as how I read reversals, the way I do it, cards basically mean the same thing whether they're upright or reversed. It's just the fact that they're reversed that's an extra data point. That's how I do it. And reversals will typically mean either a block, a glitch, a delay in that energy. Sometimes it's moving on from that energy, and sometimes it's a corruption of that energy. You know, the shadow aspect that I've been saying a lot in this video. Another thing to keep in mind is that sometimes cards are reversed so that the characters in them can face each other instead of facing away from each other or vice versa. So if you're considering using reversals in your practice, I would recommend it, but I get how daunting it is. You're literally doubling the amount of cards in your deck. I mean, despite what I was saying about how the cards mean the same thing, and they do, reading the Magician versus reading the Magician in shadow, it's a different flavor, and it's that flavor that I love so much in reversals. So if you're considering it, you can give it a try. Worst case scenario, you can just go through your deck and turn all the cards upright again, like I did the first time I tried. But just remember that, and this depends on where you're at in your tarot journey. If you don't use reversals, there's a good chance that your readings will have rose-tinted glasses, and that's something that I would encourage you to try to keep in mind as you develop your practice. It's good for me. I love it. The only times that I don't use reversals is when the deck doesn't support reversals, like the Crowley deck or the Marseille deck. Actually, it's not that the Marseille deck doesn't support reversals, it's that I don't feel like memorizing flower patterns, and having a deck where only a third of the cards can even be reversed. We're talking about the cards with people on them and all the cups, most of the aces. It makes no sense to me to use reversals in a deck like that. So I'd be curious to know your thoughts. Have I persuaded you to try reversals? Do you use reversals and you were looking for confirmation? I hope I gave it to you. Or did I accidentally scare you away from using it? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.